All right, welcome guys. We're here again for our series on mental wellness and all of the good things that come with that. I am Miss Hallie, the school social worker, and today I have with me Mr. Jake Manning. And
Hello,
our topic of what we're going to talk about today is about motivation and what motivates us and what motivates you. So my first question to you, Mr. Manning, dun, dun,
Alright.
dun, what motivates you?
People motivate me, like wanting to do a good job and be proud of the work that I'm doing. That's something that motivates me. Like, I'm definitely not motivated by things, really. More outcomes, making people happy, having an opportunity to be creative and make something that is appreciated, stuff like
Awesome. I know that you are one of the staff that a lot of students would feel comfortable to go seek out to, whether it's needing motivation for personal stuff, for academic stuff, for social stuff. So I think that they see you as one of those people that they feel comfortable to come to, and I think that that's a really strong positive quality that you have that is part of the reason why we wanted to bring you in for this conversation.
Well, thanks. I hope so. I hope they're, there's not a big secret to that, right? It's just letting kids know that you genuinely care about their well-being, and that you'll listen and that you haven't really forgotten what it's like to be a kid.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I would say that all of our staff cares about kids. I think that sometimes the way that they express it or that it comes out in different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that you being a cool laid-back art teacher might make you more approachable than some other teachers.
Absolutely.
But I also think that they see you as, one of the grown-ups that they can look up to, that, you can be a professional and you can be so good at your job, but you don't have to be so stiff. How do you think you can get students to be engaged and motivated, not only in your class, but just kind of overall?
Motivation-wise, I would say that if a kid's not sleeping well, if there's turmoil at home, finding motivation to do math assignments or, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we're not meeting those basic needs at home and you're not in a good headspace, that's kind of the nice thing about art class is, like, when you come to art class, and you've had a bad day, like, art isn't something that the more you sit in the chair, the better and more that you're going to make. Sometimes it's okay to, pull back and remove yourself and be inside your head a little bit, thinking about things, and then other times where the artwork just kind of just spills out onto the paper or in the clay or whatever, much more easily. So motivation for kids is not something that is just like every day that when I sit down from 8 to 8:45 in the morning, I'm just going to make art the whole time. It doesn't really work that way for them, and I know it doesn't work that way for me either. Whenever we go through hard times, it's hard to find motivation. But, sometimes I've had students tell me that, like, they're looking for inspiration, and I'm like, you don't have to be inspired to put marks on a piece of paper. Like, sometimes it just becomes like an excuse to be able to sit and do nothing. And, it's okay to struggle through, trying to compartmentalize and shut things off so that you can focus on the task at hand, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And that's funny that you bring up inspiration, because I was literally sitting here thinking, wondering what you would define as the difference between motivation and inspiration.
Hard
And I know
question.
that's kind of tough. But.
No, that's a hard one. But, like, motivation is, feeling motivated is.
It's kind of like, and not to jump on your toes, but
help me out.
motivation's kind of like a drive to do something. So whether I'm motivated to get up on time because I need to get to work on time because that's where I get paid, and that motivates me to pay my bills and take care of myself. Or with art, I think it's different, because I was also wondering if sometimes it's hard for kids to feel motivated because they feel pressured to create something good rather than to just express themselves.
Yes, definitely. And I do like talking about, like, Picasso and that, because it's much more. With Picasso, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like an art history teacher here for a second, but, that was the first time that art wasn't about the end result. Kids oftentimes, they're so focused on the end result of the artwork. And I say, like, think about when you were a kindergartner and the teacher just gave you paint, man. You just, like, go into town, and you didn't think about what the person next to you was making. You weren't thinking about, like, how's mine look compared to someone else's. It's just purely making artwork for art's sake. And Picasso was trying to teach us that art is supposed to be about that freedom of just pure self-expression and appreciation for, the artist that you are today, for what you've done, and to not worry necessarily about the outcome. That the outcome will be taken care of by just being more free in the process.
And I heard you mention being competitive or competition in there. How do you think that can impact your motivation or a student's motivation, comparing or competing with other people?
Healthy amount of competition. I have people in my life that are extremely competitive. I think I come from a family of very competitive people. Competition's good. It pushes you further, pushes you more. My undergraduate, my college experience was surrounded by people who were just as equally as talented as I was. And, you want to stand out and you want to do a good job. And I don't know, competitively speaking, looking at something that someone else did and thinking that my artwork was bad made me want to work harder and stay longer and do better. I think the only problem comes with competition is whenever you see people making stuff and instead of rising to meet that challenge, that you just go, well, they're way better than me and I could never do that. And then you just kind of close down and box up everything and say, I'm done.
So I heard you talk about, when things are hard and instead of giving up, to persist. So